Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to explain you about a process. A process is nothing but a program under execution, or we can call it as an instance of a program. So a program is a passive entity and process is an active entity. So we can call a program will be saved in a hard disk, whereas the process is an active entity. So it will become active whenever the program counter points to the next instruction. Okay, so let me explain this clearly. Suppose I'm having a I'm having an icon on the desktop. Okay, whenever I double click the icon, then it will be fetched to the main memory and it will start running. Right, so an icon is nothing but a .exe program. .exe only, right? The icon will be in .exe or .out format. Okay, so whenever I am double clicking on that particular application, then it will start running. Okay, so initially the .exe file is on the hard disk, that is a program. Okay, so whenever the OS fetches the particular file from the hard disk to the main memory, then the program will start running and the program will become a process. Okay, so first of all we must know about the difference between the program and process. So a program is a passive entity and process is an active entity. Okay, so .exe file is nothing but an application or application in a computer. Suppose I am opening a browser, so it is an application. It will be in the format of .exe format. So whenever I am double clicking that icon, it will start executing. So execution means the particular application will be loaded from the hard disk to the main memory. Okay, the .exe file will be fetched from the hard disk to the main memory. So at that time the program will start running. So whenever the program is in the main memory, it will start running. Okay, so like that the program will become a process here. Okay, so let me explain this one clearly with a simple real-time example. Okay, the example is newspaper. The newspaper will be having a multiple number of sections, right? Like a business section, a movie section, sports column, like that. Okay, suppose here we will consider the newspaper as an passive entity when the newspaper is on a tabletop. Okay, so I will take that newspaper and start reading the sports column, and my friend will start reading the movies column. Okay, so here the newspaper will become an active entity because we are using that. I'm reading that newspaper. So this is one of the simple real-time example for the process. So coming to the structure of a process. So process will be having the stack, heap, data and text. Okay, so these are the different elements in the process. So first one, coming to the stack. The stack stores the temporary data. The temporary data means function parameters, return address and local variables. It will store the function parameters, return address and local variables. And the next one is the heap. The heap dynamically allocates during the runtime. Okay, it is allocated during the runtime. And coming to the data, it stores the permanent data like global variables. And the last one is the text. Okay, it represents the current activity of the program counter. The program counter will be having a list of programs, right? So whenever the program counter points to a particular instruction, then it will start executing. Okay, the program will become a process whenever the program counter starts pointing to that particular instruction. Okay, so this is the structure of a process. Okay, so the process is having a data structure. So we are going to represent that data structure using the process control block. Okay, so this process control block will be having the attributes of the process or properties of the process. Okay, suppose so every citizen in the India will be having a identification card, right? Okay, so in the identification card, it will be having the it will be having some information about that particular individual, right? So similarly, here every process in the system will be having a process control block. Okay, it is the data structure of the process, and in this process control block we are having the process id, process state, program counter, registers, cpu scheduling, input output information, accounting information, memory management, and security. Okay, so process control block or PCB is a data structure of a process. It contains info about a process so that it is possible to interrupt a running process and later resume execution as if interrupt has not occurred. Okay, so first coming to the process ID. So each and every process in the system will be having a unique identification. It will be given a unique identification number. Okay, so this is a process ID to represent a particular process in the system. So it must be identified uniquely. So ID, it may be the ID will be given to the process like P1, P2, like that. And the next one is the process state. So we are having the 5 types of process states. Okay, the process may be in any of the 5 states. Okay, and the next one is a program counter. The program counter will be having the number of programs. It will be having a list of programs. So whenever the program counter points to the particular instruction, it will start executing. And the next one is general purpose registers. Okay, so whenever we are executing a particular program, so you must do some operations. Okay, the CPU must do some operations. All the operations will be done through the registers, like arithmetic operations, logical operations, everything will be done through the registers. Okay, so in the general purpose registers we are going to perform certain operations of the program. So like so we are having the registers like base register, accumulator register, index register. Okay, so like this we are going to apply this one. The next one is CPU scheduling. So CPU scheduling means it is going to execute the multiple number of process in the system by following a scheduling methods. Okay, so we are having the different types of scheduling methods that we are going to discuss in the next videos. Okay, like FIFO, first in first out, and round robin scheduling, shortest job first, and priority scheduling, so etc. like that we are having the multiple number of scheduling operations. So each and every scheduling will be done on the process based on some method. Like for the round robin scheduling we are going to apply the time slice. For the shortest job first scheduling we are going to execute the process with a small execution time. And in the priority scheduling we are going to execute a particular process based on the priority given to the process. Okay, the next one is the input output information. So this one we are going to use for the, in the system there are multiple number of processes running. So each and every process will be using some input output resources. Okay, so this one will store the input output resources used by the process. And the next one is the accounting information. So it will store the CPU time and clock time, okay, and the time limits of the program. And the next one is the memory management. In the memory management it is going to allocate the memory to the particular process, like paging, segmentation, and base and limit registers. Okay, and the last one is we are going to allocate the permissions for a particular program. If you take in the case of a Unix program, so we are going to allocate the read permission, write permission, or execute permission. We are going to give these permissions only to some set of people. Okay, so this is about the process control block. So using the PCB, it enables the operating system to support multiprocessing. When a process is interrupted, the current values of the program counter and processor register are saved in the fields of the process control block, and state of process is changed here. So basically we are going to use this PCB for the context switching. So what is meant by context switching here means, suppose in the CPU is going to run some process, right? Like CPU is going to execute, so P1, P2 and P3. So these programs it is going to execute based on some scheduling algorithm here. Okay, so it is going to execute this based on the scheduling algorithm. Suppose here the P1 is executing. Okay, so there is an interrupt for the P1 program. Then the CPU will run the another program, that is the P2 program, by allocating the P1 in the waiting state. So we are allocating the three process for executing here. So first the process P1 will start executing. So while the process P1 is executing, there is an input output request for the process P1. Then the P1 is placed in the waiting state and the P2 will start executing. So after the P2 is executed, then the P1 will start executing because the input output request has been completed here. Okay, so like this the context switching is done. Like the P1 is running for a while and there is an input output request for the P1, and then it is kept in hold and the P2 will start executing here. So after the completion of P2, the P1 will start executing. So after the P1 is completed, then the P3 will start executing. Okay, so there is a context switch between the P1 and P2. Okay, so the contents of the P1 is saved and input output request is allocated for the P1, and the P2 will start executing. Okay, after this completion of program P2, then the P1 will again start executing from where the input output request is handled. Okay, so like this we are going to use the process control block. Okay, thanks for watching my video.